How did the Egyptians build the pyramids? How will the Big 12 build a super conference? Leverage. This is Locked On Big 12.
You are Locked On Big 12, your daily podcast on the Big 12 Conference, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Happy Tuesday, everybody. Welcome into Locked On Big 12. I'm Drake Toll from ESPN Central Texas. Thank you for making Locked On Big 12 your first listen every single day. I'm actually live from a supply closet at ESPN Central Texas today. And, I've been thinking, the Big 12 has some leverage in college football. Now, that might sound weird because you probably look around the conference and you go, things don't look too great right now. But I think in expansion moving forward and where the Big 12 sits with Brett Yormark and the ability to go East Coast, West Coast, that none of that matters. The directions aren't a thing. I think that there's something here. There's something here with not just the commissioner, but also the ability for other teams to assimilate quickly. And maybe I'm insane for saying this. And I probably am. Right? That you go to an SEC and it's tough to expand because you're going to struggle for a couple years. You go to the Big Ten, it's tough to expand. You're going to struggle for a couple years. There's no way that UCLA and USC fit in, right? There's no way that Oklahoma is a seamless transition into the SEC, right? I don't know if I see that. Texas is a seamless transition to the SEC. It's going to take a few years to get used to this. Doesn't really feel that way with Cincinnati being a Big 12 game. Doesn't feel that way with UCF being a Big 12 game. And I thought they'd be one of the weird ones that just, all right, Baylor played UCF in a conference matchup. We didn't really bat an eye at that. BYU being in the Big 12, despite being in independence for a gajillion years, hasn't been a weird thing. And think about the way the conference has played out this year. Oklahoma State lost to South Alabama 33-7. And now they're in a spot of leverage to control their own destiny in the conference. West Virginia could have gone 1-11, 2-10, and here they are, leverage, spot to control their own destiny in conference play. Houston, the worst team of the new guy, the one team we thought, oh shoot, this team's going to really stink, especially after the first day. They lost to Rice. They already have a win. They have the only win against an original Big 12 member by the new guys over West Virginia. Iowa State, who lost their starting quarterback, starting running back in the offseason due to a betting scandal, now with a kid named Rocco as the signal caller, controls its own destiny in the Big 12. Baylor, who won the Sugar Bowl, the Big 12 championship a couple of years ago, cutting room floor. Maybe the worst team in the conference. TCU, who went to the national championship last season, just blew out BYU, but before that, they'd really struggled against some teams that we thought weren't going to be good in this league. Losing to Iowa State, losing to West Virginia, games that should have been must-wins, definite wins for them. Texas Tech, Joey McGuire in year 2, dark horse to win the Big 12 championship, sitting at 3-4 below 500. I mean, I hope what you piece together here, what the Big 12 is this season, this parity, while, again, I made this case a couple days ago, if you're a TV executive, you probably don't love it. You're probably not like, oh, wow, need more of that, need more Big 12. Yeah, I get that. I get why you wouldn't be that way. But, dude, for us, it's pretty awesome, man. I mean, great to watch it. And when you talk expansion, it's great to see that teams are coming in immediately feeling like they fit in. I want to ask you, so you're a BYU fan, you're a UCF, you're a Cincinnati, Houston fan. Do you feel different? Do you feel weird being in the Big 12? For some reason, this doesn't feel weird. And I get that feelings and even perception is a much different thing than what is real, the actuality, and how the money of this works. But the Big 12, the way it's playing this year, is in a spot to put 11 teams in a bowl game. But there's a real way the Big 12 at the end of this deal is like, you know what? We've got a shot to put just 11 teams in there. Yeah, why not? I am so blown away with how competitive this conference is. We call it mediocre. People call it mediocre outside. What if we just call it competitive? What if the fact that Texas Tech can go toe-to-toe with Iowa State? One of those teams is in the bottom 7 of the conference. The other one is second in the Big 12. Iowa State second in the Big 12. And they could lose tomorrow to UCF, and you wouldn't freak out that much. Oklahoma State tied for third in the Big 12. They could lose tomorrow to Cincinnati, and you go, well, Cincinnati's got an All-American defensively. Cincinnati's the worst team in the league, 0-3 in Big 12 play. UCF 0-3 in Big 12 play. There's some things here, like if Kansas State goes out tomorrow and plays Iowa State, I don't know what's going to happen, man. There's a beauty to that here because now we're sitting with conference teams that are 6-0 like Oklahoma, already punched their bowl ticket, 4 wins for Iowa State, 4 wins for Oklahoma State, 5 for Texas, 4 for Kansas State, 4 for West Virginia, 5 for Kansas, 4 for TCU, 4 for BYU. All of those teams, those 9 teams, need 2 more wins to go to a bowl game. 2 more wins to go to a bowl game. TCU, 4 wins. 4 wins. You just need 2 more to go to a bowl game. BYU just need 2 more to go to a bowl game. Texas Tech, who I thought would be one of the better teams in conference, they're 3-4. I still think they go to a bowl. UCF at 3-3, Baylor at 2-4, Houston at 3-3, Cincy at 2-4. Can those teams turn around and go to a bowl? Maybe one of them. Maybe one of the 4. That's all I need. It's time to start realizing. I did this as I'm looking today. I was like, you know what? I'm pondering. Sometimes you get in the shower and you're like, oh, I have really good thoughts in here. And I did. Ponder the fact that the Big 12 is in a spot of leverage because now you take those 10 teams, 11 teams, into the postseason, into bowl play. And everybody looks around and goes, while we all thought the Big 12 was bad, we all looked around and thought, the Big 12 is, who cares? We're more SEC people. We want to watch the Big 10. We want to watch the ACC. While everybody was saying that nationally, the Big 12 snuck 11 teams into bowl contention. And you start talking about the Big 12 going 8-3 in the postseason. You start talking about 9-2 in the postseason. And of course, that's all subjective. It very well could be the other way around. But this conference, scrappy. And I think it's what you need to prove when you had such a tough non-conference. I say tough, a bad non-conference, is that this league's good. The SEC went 3-6 against non-conference Power 5 non-conference opponents earlier this season. Nobody's really talking about it. They're down. The Big Ten, jury's out for me on Ohio State. Michigan's great. I think Penn State's great. They might prove that this weekend against Ohio State. But you know what? Past that, what do they got? Because we have the top heavy dog. We have Texas and Oklahoma. They're still in the conference right now. So you can make the case the Big Ten has 2 or 3 teams. Yeah. Solid. Past that, what? Past that, I'm not scared about Wisconsin playing Kansas State. I'm not scared about Iowa State playing Iowa. They just played, and it was a coin flip game. Go to the Pac-12, and they seem pretty deep, but Washington State squares off tomorrow with TCU. I know who I like. I just maybe I sold too quick. Maybe the national media, myself, I'm not including myself in the national media, but I kind of fell into that trap of be a cynic about where the conference is. If you're a new guy, do you feel new? The Big 12 has leverage moving forward because so many teams can compete right away. Not because everybody's bad, but everybody's got the same blue collar, we just can't lose. We're going to beat up on each other. We're going to make this thing stupid interesting. And whether you like it or not, we're going to do that football. And moving forward, be hard-pressed to look at a North Carolina if they end up on the cutting room floor of the SEC, the Big Ten. Be hard-pressed to find a Louisville, an NC State that says, I just don't want to do that. I can't do that. I don't want to go there. Nope. We've made a lot of friends in the playground. We're going to continue to make a lot of friends in the playground. It's pretty dope. Maybe those friends might include Washington State and Oregon State. That's coming up here on Locked On Big 12, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's show is brought to you by Game Time. Game Time is the place to go to get tickets fast. I go to Game Time when it comes to the Texas Rangers. Dallas Cowboys, sure, I'll do that. But I'm going to go to those games later this season when I know they're good. I love me some Texas Rangers who are in the playoffs right now. I am going to the game on Wednesday. I'm going to go to the game in Arlington, and I am saving up money right now to buy a ticket at Game Time. I haven't bought the ticket yet. I'm going to wait till the last second because that's where Game Time works the best. They'll show you pictures of your seat. They will give you flash deals, zone deals, last-minute tickets, easy to find, easy to buy. I'm going to let the prices go down a little bit, then go to Game Time. The fees are super cheap. You get to see the seat before you buy the ticket. And those zone deals, you can pick a section. Game Time picks the seat, you save 18%. Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference if you find a ticket the same row for a better price on a different app. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices, and that is guaranteed. So what's all this going on with Washington State, Oregon State when it comes to their lawsuit? I haven't unpacked this a lot on Locked On Big 12 in the idea, and you know that I'm a big proponent of these two teams being considered in conference play. For you West Virginia fans, Cincinnati fans, your UCF fans, I'm not anti-Pitt, Louisville, those teams being welcomed in a couple of years and figuring out where the ACC schools go. But I don't think Brett Yormark and the Big 12 can sit and wait. There's not just like we can't take these two teams right now. We're going to need to sit and wait for the ACC schools. I don't think that's how this works. There's not Brett Yormark's not I'm going to play defense kind of guy. He's an offense, power forward, get her done. Now this lawsuit, what it is Washington State and Oregon State are vying for the assets of the Pac-12. They want voting power, staying power, the money, all of that left over. So when it comes to bowl games, March Madness, they're effectively saying, hey, look, everybody else left this conference. They shouldn't get a say in the future of this league. They shouldn't get payouts from this league when they've already decided this is not where they want to be. The big thing that plays into this is George Kliavkoff said a couple of months ago when USC and UCLA left the league, is like, yeah, they're not voting anymore. They, as teams, as schools who have left the league, they can't vote now. Wouldn't that still apply for Utah? Wouldn't that apply for Colorado, for Oregon, for Washington? The answer is yes. It seems very obvious that what Washington State and Oregon State, what they're doing is they're going to court to say, hey, look, America, this is the Pac-2. We are united as two teams. And we obviously, if USC, UCLA couldn't vote, then Oregon shouldn't be able to. If leaving this conference, breaking the grant of rights saying, like, hey, everybody, we're stuck here. We're gonna be together for a little bit. 2024, 25. Everybody hold your horses. Now, these schools announced before August of 24 that they're going to leave. Can't do that. That's against the grant of rights. So now, Oregon State and Washington State have a beautiful case going to the court of law and saying, hey, look, if there are $320 million sitting around for one of these schools moving forward, because that's what the Big 12, that's what ESPN pays out to conferences like the Big 12, the Pac-12, the ACC. If that's the case, we are the only two teams here. We're the only ones that exist. We have a grace period for 2 years. We get that money. We vote to not divvy that out to Utah, who's in the Big 12, to not divvy it out to Oregon, who's in the Big 10. We, Washington State, Oregon State, Pac-12, Pac-2, we get that money. Now, according to what Jim Williams said, with that, they have the same thing as the Big 12, leverage. And when it comes to leverage, they don't want to bow down, go to the Mountain West, bow down and assimilate with the American Conference, bring in a Memphis and a Boise State or Fresno State, try to piece a conference together. Kirk Schultz, who's on the College Football Playoff Committee, is the president at Washington State. He has made it clear that their path is to be Power 5. This isn't a settle for something else, settle for something different. This is, hey, Washington State, Oregon State, we are committed to being Power 5. And if they have the money there, and again, I know if you're an East Coast team, you might not like this, but if they have the money there, and they win this lawsuit, that's when things really start to matriculate. So November 14th, we'll know. We'll know in less than a month, we'll know exactly what's going to happen with Washington State, Oregon State. Right in that timetable, November 14th is kind of a rough. The public will have an idea of where this is going to go. Now, it doesn't mean November 15th, November 20th, that those two teams will be in the Big 10 or the Big 12 or the ACC. There have been rumors for a lot of different options for those. It does mean to me, though, that in the coming months past that, when they decided, all right, we know now that we took them to court It was the obvious decision was made that Oregon State, Washington State are the two teams that make up the Pac-12. When that decision is made, when the money is placed in their hands, they then have leverage. And at that point, they utilize that leverage to go to a conference that is still alive and thriving and could take them. And ESPN says, hey, look, we don't want to lose that money. Or Fox says we don't want to lose that money. The College Football Playoff Committee says we don't want to just give that money away to two teams. They've got to do something. So what I'm trying to put forth here, if you're a BYU fan, get ready. What do you think? Are you cool with this? If you're a Utah fan, are you cool with them coming too? Colorado fan, Arizona State. If you're a Baylor fan, are you cool with playing Washington State? Are you cool with going to Pullman? If you're a UCF fan, you're probably not. If you're a West Virginia fan, you're probably not. Does this make the conference money long term? I think these are questions Brett Yormark is asking, but whether the answer is yes or no doesn't move the needle as much as money does. If the money's there, these two teams will be here. 100%. That's the way the whole expansion thing goes. Preseason basketball poll is out. Kansas, off the hook. This is Locked On Big 12, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's show is brought to you by Jace Medical. Jace Case. Jace Medical is the place to go to take care of yourself. Everybody should have a way. Everybody should have a way to take care of themselves in the event of an emergency. Jace Medical and the Jace Case give you an opportunity to do that. Right now, you go to Jace Medical and you don't get caught unprepared. You're empowered to take care of yourself. You get 5 life-saving antibiotics for emergency use. All it takes is to fill out a simple online form, jump on maybe a quick call with one of their board-certified physicians. You get ongoing care from their physicians on any treatment-related questions. Doctor-created, doctor-recommended at Jace Medical. Get $20 off life-saving antibiotics today from Jace Medical by using code LOCKEDON at checkout on JaceMedical.com, JaceMedical.com. Everyone, again, should be empowered to take care of themselves. They offer the Jace Case for you to do that. 5 life-saving antibiotics for emergency use today. Don't get caught unprepared. Get $20 off. Jace Medical. Use code LOCKEDON at JaceMedical.com, JaceMedical.com. All right, basketball poll is out. What do you think? Kansas at number 1 in not just the Big 12, but America. Are we shocked by this? They avoided all they avoid all the sanctions. No FBI. Nobody's upset at Kansas. Sweet little Kansas. They didn't do anything wrong. Bill Self, what a nice guy, blue-collar guy. And Kansas number 1 in the country. Duke at 2, Purdue at 3, Michigan State at 4. And I'm starting to ask myself, all right, where's a Baylor? Where's a Texas? Is Iowa State up here? Did we get a Texas Tech in year 1 under Grant McCasland? Weird. The next time we see, Arizona's at 12, by the way. I didn't mark that down. Next time we see a Big 12 teams, 7 Houston. The Houston Cougars. And it reminded me, oh, shoot. Not only is Houston in this conference in football, where they've seemed like a doormat until this last win, they're also in the conference in basketball. And that's going to create a lot of big matchups and tough matchups. So if you're UCF and you're the lowest graded team in the Big 12, especially per KenPom, so yeah, that's tough to get around. If you're in that boat, knowing you got to play Houston, Kansas, Big 12 doesn't end there. You got Texas and Baylor. That's tough. Now, I think Texas got the shaft at 18. That feels... We learned they can win in the postseason now. They're out of that era, the Shaka Smart era of, hey, we're going to go to the postseason, have a really good regular season, and then we're going to find a way to lose. They've brought themselves out of that. 18's low. How about Baylor at 20? KenPom, number 7 team in America. A great transfer portal class. One of the top players in America, Jacoby Walter, at 20. There's room to shock some people. Kansas State receiving 13 votes after their magical Elite 8 run last season. Kansas State is left out of the top 25. Weird. No votes for Iowa State. TJ Otzelberger. You don't believe in what Iowa State can do on the basketball court. No votes for Oklahoma State and Mike Boynton. West Virginia, we think they're just going to completely fall off the table. TCU, last year a dangerous team in March Madness. No votes. Weird. Now, I get like Cincinnati, who's got to figure some stuff out. UCF, who has to figure some stuff out. BYU, we can leave them on the cutting room floor. Fine. Oklahoma? No vote? I thought this was odd. Kansas being at number one. Look, they're number one in the Big 12 until proven otherwise. That's just, they do it every year. Baylor's giving them a bit of a run for their money, but they're number one. Houston could vie for that certainly this year, but it's Kansas being the number one preseason. That's obvious. Nationally, wasn't shocked at all. Duke being at 2 seemed a little high. I was just ready for, I'm looking, around the Big 12 thinking, all right, we got some teams. We got some good teams. Can't get no respect. Shocked that a TCU and Iowa State. And look, here's one thing I want to get across. You could make the argument like, oh yeah, this team's reloading. Oh yeah, this team lost a lot. Every team welcome to college basketball in 2023. Almost every team in the country is reloading. Some of these smaller schools like an FAU, some of these smaller schools like a Marquette, more basketball oriented. It's like, all right, they're returning some more players maybe than the others of the country. But a Kansas reloads. A Houston reloads. You go out and get an LJ Cryer. He's never played for Houston before. And now he's their best player. Baylor reloads. They'll start 3 or 4 new guys. You don't think Kentucky has been reloading for all of history? And now we just forget about some of these historic Big 12 basketball teams? Huh. I don't know, man. TJ Otzelberger's Iowa State team was the number 1 defensive rated team in America last year. Does that just go away? You just get no respect for that? I don't know, man. Kansas at 1, you got right. I'll give you that. But I thought the Big 12 deserved more than 4 teams in the top 25. 5 teams in the top 25 and getting votes. Jerome Tang, great. That's if you're TJ Otzelberger, you're saying doubt me. If you're Jamie Dixon, doubt me. Jerome Tang, doubt me. Mike Boynton, doubt me. Porter Moser. I just don't. It doesn't register in my brain why the Big 12 is not getting as much respect as it deserves to in the AP top 25. Baylor at 20 is grossly low. I think Texas at 18 is low. You'll find out. I really do believe that you'll find out. This has been the best conference in basketball for pushing a decade now, and I don't know. Yep, you'll see. You'll all see. Frustrating that the national media doesn't want to give the Big 12 as much attention as it deserves, even in basketball, where it's earned it so much. But that's fine. Doubt the conference. See how that goes. Come back tomorrow. We'll talk about more sports. Oof. This has been, it always will be. Thanks for making it your first listen every single day. Locked On. Thanks again for making it your first listen every single day. Dose Grande.